So, are you having boot problems? Basically, it won't stay shut or maybe it won't open at all. Well, in this video, hopefully I'm going to fix it. That was the boot, by the way, not me. Hey, I'm Kev and welcome to North Coast Workshop, where you'll find car modification and DIY content. Now this was an unplanned video, but the joys of owning a MK2 Leon is that you're always fixing something. Things are always going wrong at some point during its lifetime. So today for the car, it is this boot latch. Now I'm not meaning the handle on the outside that you use to open the boot, but I mean the latch that actually keeps the boot shut once you've closed it. Just before we go any further into this video, I've just realised something when editing it. I said at the start of it, so are you having boot problems? Basically, it won't stay shut or maybe it won't open at all, but I forgot to cover it at any point. So I've just nipped outside quickly, cleared the car of some snow, stuck it in the garage to do the next wee segment. So if the problem you are having is the boot's not opening, here's a few things you could try. When you open the boot, there's a tiny micro switch in the handle that tells the motor in the boot latch to open. You should be able to hear this. If you hear nothing at all, it means there's a good chance that wee micro switch in the boot handle is damaged and you need to replace the handle itself. But double check both the connections on the boot handle and the latch just to make sure they haven't come loose or fallen off. This bit is at your own risk, but what you can do is get a wee bit of wire, put it across the connections from the connector you removed from the boot handle, and this just checks to see if the motor in the latch is working. But just remember to close the latch so that the motor activates it. And yeah, hopefully these techniques will identify whether you need a new boot handle or a boot latch. Right, let's go back to the video. This part number on this boot latch seems to be quite common across the Volkswagen Audi group range. I'll pop a list of cars on the screen just now to show you what it's all capable of being fitted to. So the story is, one morning I went out to the car, put stuff into the boot, closed it, and straight away it opened again. Tried several times to close it, but the boot latch decided that it had enough and it was fed up of keeping the boot closed, and it just packed in altogether. So replacing the latch itself is the fairly easy bit, to be honest. It's more that if you've got to keep on using the car and you've got this faulty latch in place and you're waiting a few days for a new one to turn up. The thing is with these boots is if the boot's not closed properly, then these rear lights won't work at all. So the plan is that I'm going to show you a few kind of workaround hacks to get the boot closed for the time being until you get a new latch, and I'm going to show you how to get those lights to work as well at the same time. And the tools you need to get this to work will hopefully be things you have lying around the garage or things you can get a hold of quite easily. So the things you'll need to keep this boot shut until you get this new latch is you'll need some multi-purpose cord, something that's quite heavy duty and is going to keep the weight of the boot shut. You'll need a multi-spline bit number 8 along with a ratchet to remove the old boot latch. You'll need some quite thick cable ties, some wire cutters, number 3 Allen key, and I had this bit of metal lying around the garage, but if you haven't got a bit of metal then a long extension would do the same job. And finally a bit of duct tape, and the iron brew is an optional extra. So first of all, remove your boot trim off the back of the boot, then take out the 2 multi-spline bolts from the boot latch, remove it and remove the connector off the back. Now going by the pictures here, you can see that I've cable tied my boot latch into the closed position, I've reconnected the connector and I've taped it on the inside of the boot. But since then I've found out that what you can do is just remove the boot latch altogether, leave the connector disconnected, and this actually activates the lights to come back on for the boot. So second then, if you adjust the bump stops either side of the boot, so you'll need the number 3 Allen key, loosen them off a bit and then squeeze the bump stops in a bit closer to the boot. This just helps the boot sit a bit more flush, as the latch usually keeps the bump stops compressed when the boot shuts. Next, tie the rope to the boot, and if you use the original threaded holes for the boot latch, do not use that weak bit of metal in between them because there's a good chance this will bend under the pressure. So use your threaded holes and tie a tight knot around the boot there. Then thread the rope down through the catch that's on the boot opening itself and across to the back of the headrests. And while you're doing this, ideally you have someone hold the boot shut from the outside as you're tying a knot on the back of the rear headrest. If you feel the boot still hasn't shut properly and needs to be a bit tighter yet, what you can do is pop that metal bar or the extension in the rope, give it a few turns to try and get the tension up on the rope, and this will hopefully close the boot a bit more. Then use the cable ties to hold the metal bar in place so it doesn't spin undone. So hopefully all this in place, your lights on your boot are working, the interior boot light is off, and also the boot isn't bouncing around too much. And if you are looking for a part number to order a new one, then this is where you'll find it on the old boot latch. So once the new boot latch arrives, it's pretty straightforward just to refit it. Pop your 2 bolts back in, reattach the multi-plug on the back, do a quick test to make sure the boot handle on the outside activates the boot latch, and that when you close it, the boot lights come on properly as well. Now if you have any problems with boot lights not coming on properly, it could be that the catch hasn't fully engaged. There's 2 stages to the boot latch, and if it only reaches the first stage and not fully into the second stage, it won't activate the lights. So you might have to readjust the catch that's on the boot opening itself. So hopefully you find the video useful for when your boot latch fails. Trust me, it will fail. And if you have enjoyed, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and also if you're feeling really extravagant, then don't forget to hit subscribe down below as well. Now you may notice when I was doing the work on my boot latch that my rear lights have been tinted with fly eye tint. I've left a video in the top right hand corner to show you how I did that, and down below that is a video that YouTube thinks you'll like as well. Thank you very much for watching, much appreciated, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers! Fix this squeaky.